Red Ice Radio. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I'm glad to have you with us. My name is Henrik Palmgren. We are currently coming to you from the west coast of Sweden. And if you want to know more about our radio program and what we do here, head on over to our website, redicecreations.com. That's REDICE creations.com. And today we have Lon Milo Duquette with us, and many of you who are interested in the esoteric will be familiar with this name, of course. He is an author of many books on the subjects of magic, the Western magical tradition, the tarot, alchemy, Enochian magic, Aleister Crowley, sex, Kabbalah, and religion. His latest title is called Enochian Vision Magic. Lon is also the host or co-host of a very interesting DVD series called The Great Work that I've been watching over the last few days. This series is from the producers of the underground classic Magical Egypt, the DVD series. Chance Gardner and Venice McNeil. There's other people popping up in The Great Work as well, like John Anthony West, whom we had with us a while back, but also Georgia Lambert, John Michael Greer, Art Rosengarten, Pamela J. Smith, and others. And we're going to talk a little bit more about The Great Work, alchemy, and the tarot later in the program. I also want to mention that Lon has, since 1975, served as a national and international administrative officer of the OTO. That's the Order Templo Orientis, for those of you who don't know. That's one of the most influential and controversial magical societies of the 20th century. And since 94, he has served as the Order's United States Deputy Grandmaster. So if you have time later today, this is something that I'd love to talk more about as well. The website you should visit is lonmiloduquette.com. That's LonMiloDuquette.com. That will give you more information about his books, DVDs, seminars, and workshops, and so on. So with that, welcome to Red Ice Radio, Lon. It's great to have you with us, and thank you for spending some of your time with us here today.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me.
It's great to have you here. As I mentioned, I really enjoyed the great work, seeing some of your research and material coming up in that series, and explained in a very, very, very nice way, produced by Chance Gardner, of course, who put that series together. But before we talk more about that and some of your books and the OTO and so forth, I'd like to, if you don't mind, Lon, if you could just share with us a little bit about how you first became interested in magic, Aleister Crowley and the Kabbalah, and even the tarot. It's always interesting to hear how people get involved in these esoteric subjects.
Well, I guess we could start by saying I'm a child of the 60s, a flower child, an aging hippie. I got interested in human consciousness. I guess we could lump everything into that term. Back in the mid-1960s, when I came in contact and had several remarkable and influential experiences with LSD and psychedelics. And up until that time, I was more or less a Midwestern materialist, and I didn't have very much interest in spiritual matters per se as I was growing up, but I always considered myself sort of a spiritual explorer.
Yes.
And part of my exploration, as soon as I graduated from high school and came out to California to go to college, was with the psychedelic phenomena. And it more or less, I don't want to bore you with I saw God on LSD story, but it more or less told me that human consciousness was a far more wonderful and the fact that learning about myself was going to be the only endeavor worth pursuing for the rest of my life, and that was a springboard into Eastern mysticism, which was popular with the Beatles and everything. And,
Right, right.
And so I sort of dove in to the deep end of the pool of Eastern mysticism and sort of fancied that I would gain enlightenment with a nice shaved head and sitting in a full lotus, but it was sort of strange. I imagined myself losing my ego and becoming completely enlightened, but I did it in such a way as I thought I would look really cool I would look really cool losing my ego.
Right, right.
And so it was, I sooner or later came face to face with the fact that in a very real way, the Eastern mystical method and the Western mystical or magical method, the goal is the same thing, but the process is completely different. So I came to the conclusion that I was trying to play Eastern mysticism software on my Western hardware.
Yes.
And it just wasn't working out. And so I went on a kind of a frustrating quest for a few years to find something in that resonated with my Western psyche, the same way that the Eastern psyche resonates with things like the Tao Te Ching and the wonderful concepts of Tao, of the Tao.
Yes.
And so I was looking for a Western Tao, and for a while I wasn't coming up with very much. Christian mysticism, at least for me, contained or brought with it a lot of unfortunate baggage of self-loathing and guilt and all of those nasty things. And I'm sure it doesn't have to be that way with everybody, but with my particular background, it did. Mm. So it finally, I finally started to get a clue when my brother joined an organization called Rosicrucian Order, AMORC.
Right.
AMORC. And you've seen them advertised in Popular Mechanics in every magazine in the world. What secret powers did these men possess? And so I thought, well, that's probably a pretty corny thing, but if my brother was interested in it, and he said they're sort of like mystic Freemasons, only they had women.
Right.
And so I guess the woman thing, so, oh boy, mystical Masons with women. And
was that the attractor, you think, then?
Well, I've been married my whole life, so it had to have been only a vicarious attractor.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
But
do you think, Lon, that you wouldn't have gone down this path if it wasn't for your experiences with LSD and other psychedelic drugs?
I can probably say yes. Okay, and I certainly don't want to encourage people to do anything illegal or foolhardy with their brains. But I tell you, I needed a real something very dramatic to pull me out of the base material. I was a jerk. Okay, it took something very dramatic. It took literally one of a religious experience par excellence to show me that there is so much more to the human mind and so much more to the universe than just going to the school, getting a job, getting married, getting sick, and dying.
Right, right. And do you think that also joining the Rosicrucian order and later on, I guess, then the OTO as well, has that helped to enhance that and propel your spiritual journey in that sense?
Yes, it gave me the discipline, kind of the step-by-step discipline that I needed to move forward with this growth process. I truly have nothing but good things to say about the Rosicrucian order, and they first of all they showed me that I enjoyed ritual work. I enjoyed taking these inner concepts that I dealt with inside myself during my years of working with Eastern mysticism, and it showed me how I can project these inward things outside of myself and start dealing with them as if they were objective things. So dealing objectively with subjective concepts is sort of what magic is. And I learned that I enjoyed, I resonated with ritual. I learned I had a passion for sacred ceremony. I learned that I really enjoyed putting on a robe and strutting around in the dark.
Right.
And not only that, but
is that what it is? The rituals, if you know what I mean, is that what it's implying here, or is it? Obviously, I understand that there's more beyond this.
No, of course, there's more beyond that, but it gave me the feeling that I could enter into a sacred environment that was outside of myself as well as inside of myself. I sort of put two and two together, that there is no outside of yourself, and that things that you do seemingly on the outside, you're doing on the inside too. And it's one of those, I guess, Kabbalistic illuminations that people shoot for. But I found out that I resonated very well with that. Not only that, but the degree structure, the initiatory degree structure that my AMORC experience introduced me to would later come in very, very handy when I started to see and study the ritual degree work of the initiatory societies, such as the Golden Dawn or Crowley's OTO or AA. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful training ground for me. Eventually, naturally, because I was a young man and impatient and brash and irreverent, that eventually I sensed that the AMORC pace was going to be pretty slow. And I started to poke around with other things. And I took this marvelous correspondence course by an organization called Builders of the Adytum, or the BOTA. And they had a like a Kabbalah tarot correspondence course. And I'd never been exposed to the tarot, and I didn't know what it had to do with the Kabbalah. And for about 3 years, I took their marvelous correspondence course, and I learned a great deal about the tarot from a Kabbalistic point of view. And so it was like my boot camp, my training ground for Hermetic